button eventually. It's been a long weekend. We got about 35 hours of Magic broadcast.
That's incredible.
Under our belts. We've got the Las Vegas knot tied here on the shirt. I don't know if this is the official tie knot of Las Vegas. And we are ready for the finals of the beta draft. This is going to be great. The two best decks, I think, possibly at the table. Tim Rivera with his green-black deck with 2 Pestilence.
Yes, his deck looked incredible.
And against Luis Scott-Vargas with his deck with, well, Fireball.
Yeah.
Or Disintegrate in this case. And some cop Circles of Protection. Let's go down to the floor and watch the finals of the beta draft. The last Magic to be played here at Grand Prix Las Vegas. Hello and welcome to the final round of Magic here at Grand Prix Las Vegas. I'm Brian David Marshall. It's my pleasure to be joined in the booth by Tom Top 8 Magic Martell. And we are going to watch Luis Scott-Vargas. There you see him with the beta lands. He came prepared for this moment, playing against Tim Rivera.
He was scrounging around on Twitter asking if he could beg, borrow, or steal beta lands for this draft, and I respect the fact that he achieved it. Ooh.
Wow, and there's a Black Vice from Tim Rivera.
The beatdowns have begun.
And now Luis has got to try to empty his hand, which can be challenging in a format where you are sometimes playing as many as 23 lands. I don't think Luis is quite that high, but he's going to need to play some spells.
Yeah, again, it's as those of you who caught the draft, and if you didn't, you need to go back and watch it as soon as this ends because it is a spectacle. But as you noticed, there are a lot of basics in these packs. It is not like modern sets where you get 1 basic per pack, and so you can come up really short on playables in a way that you would not understand with a modern set.
All right, Nevernell's disc. That's going to be that's going to allow Luis to get out from under the disc the hard way. Although it might not deal with that Drudge Skeleton.
No. Interestingly, you can regenerate from the disc, and so at this point, Tim can kind of just sit there and look at Luis and force Luis to eventually pop the disc to deal with the Vise. Or commit to the board to get out from under it, right? He's kind of caught here. Critically, though, it looks like Luis does have a... Okay, he's deciding to just engage. He's like, fine. We're both going to commit more.
Orcish Artillery is the play. This card is tremendous in this format.
Yeah.
Again, Grizzly Bears, Scrib Sprites, Mons Goblin Raiders, Goblin Balloon Brigade, all cards that end up coming down, try to go wide, just to get some creatures on the board. And, oh, boy. Jade Statue, yeah.
As we saw, Artillery kind of single-handedly shut down Martin Juice's entire deck. And I think we also saw in the quarterfinals, Luis has a combo in his own deck of COP Red with that Artillery, so he doesn't even take the damage himself. So really a powerhouse for him. Okay.
So here we see he's going to use the Orcish Artillery to get Tim Rivera to commit to regenerating the skeleton, and then he's going to activate the disc, clean things up, and then boom, down comes the Ironroot Tree Folk, 3/5. What are you going to do about that?
And again, for those of you who are tuning in who have not played these older sets, and you're thinking 3/5, who cares? That's really big for beta.
Oh, and look at this, a perfect COP green. He can ignore that elephant. He's also got a wall of brambles there.
Yeah, Luis is kind of ready here with these main decks, Cop Red, Cop Green, for the different matchups, drawing them at the right time, which is also huge.
Yeah, Cop Green happens to be really good here. Cop Red is good in his deck, even if he's not playing against a red opponent. Here we see, wow, look at this. Regrowth targeting Jade Statue.
I like that play. So, Beat-Em, remind me, so Jade Statue, it's a artifact that can become a creature, or is always a creature?
You can pay mana during your attack step to make it a creature. It becomes a 3/6. And you couldn't actually activate it when it was under its original printing.
Really?
Because there was no window at the beginning of your combat step. There was no beginning of combat phase for which to activate it, so they had to create something called the Jade Statue phase in the rules of the game that eventually became beginning of combat.
Earning your title of Proto Historian. We did see while we were chit-chatting, Tim Rivera with a copy of Terror to eliminate that 3/5. Terror, one of the premium removal spells.
Yeah, he had something he could do about it.
And that's a Bog Wraith?
Yeah, that is. Right? That's a Swamp Walker.
Land Walk, really powerful in core set.
Oh, there's a Conservator.
Jeez.
We got a reader.
So if I recall correctly, it's an artifact 4 mana.
Poly or mono. Poly or mono.
Mono. I believe where you pay some amount of mana and tap it to prevent the next 2 damage dealt just to you, I think.
I believe you are closest to the pin here.
I'm at least in the ballpark.
It's 3 and tap. Prevent up to 2 damage to you.
There we go. Sometimes you may only want to prevent 1. Take 1. It's your choice. Not going to obligate you.
Also combos, sort of, with the Orcish Artillery.
True.
Pretty expensive, though.
So we can see here, looking at Tim Rivera's hand, Tim has one of the, here we go, Pestilence.
Oh, wow. Pestilence is such a... But this card was a house in Urza's Saga draft.
Yes. It was the defining common, really, in Urza's Saga draft. And in this spot here, too, with Tim, he has, excuse me, some larger creatures sitting in play that he will not let go. So Pestilence will leave play if all the creatures are gone. That's not going to happen in this game. So it's just going to be 2 points. Oh, wow. Okay.
How about a lure on an elephant?
Tim is playing this game
Activate
so well.
The Jade Statue. Swing with everybody. So the wall has to block the elephant, which ironically he could just prevent the damage from with the Cop Green. Conservator prevents a little damage here.
Yep. Luis goes down to 6 life.
6, yeah.
And there it goes.
Wow.
Game 1. Tim's deck looks unbelievable for that
Tim's
game.
deck looks like a modern limited deck in a lot of ways.
Yep.
He's got a couple of weak cards in there, but really some premium cards at every step along the way. He's got Llanowar Elves. He's got Sengir Vampire. He's got double Pestilence. He's got Dark Banishing or Terror in this case.
Yep.
But his deck is just absolutely fantastic. Even has a bonus Sarah Angel just hanging out in his sideboard.
And we also see, Luis, a lot of his game plan is these, prodigal sorcerers that are going to be, kind of giving him this inevitability of just pinging. Pestilence takes care of that.
Yeah, we saw last game against Martin Yuza during the Michael Burnett interview that prodigal sorcerer just absolutely owned Martin Yuza's deck, and now Luis Scott-Vargas may be getting a taste of his own medicine here.
Looks that way. Tim's deck just lines up so perfectly. And you see, Luis is kind of looking through his deck. You don't have a lot of sideboard options at this point, right?
No, if it was able to be in your deck, it's in there.
Did you really choose to play a 21st land over a playable card? I just don't believe it. So this is a little bit for show, maybe. Maybe there's a card. Here we see, something that's changing. Maybe switching the mana base a little bit. Thinks one color is more important in this matchup. Wants to prioritize it. Could be cutting the COP red for a 22nd land. If he thinks it's really not. He did look a
little mana light there.
He did. He only had 11. But yeah, so I think the critical part of that game was the fact that Luis had to blow the Navinral's disc so early, and while
just to deal with the Black Vice, which was kind of crazy. Well, the Jade Statue.
The Jade Statue thing was really forced to hand there because the Black Vice he could get out from under because they both just kind of play 1 for 1 from threats as long as Luis keeps parity at that point. But it was the combo of getting the Jade Statue and that regenerating Dredge Skeleton, which is going to be annoying off the board.
But Tim Rivera sort of played into that. I guess he knew he had the regrowth and was going to get that Jade Statue back.
Also, just what else is he going to do, right? You need to force the disc off because in his deck, when you have these better threats, Sengir Vampire, Pestilence, Luis cannot beat Pestilence. Right, realistically.
No one ever has.
It might be undefeated in the history of Magic. We're not sure. We'll have to get the stats guys to check that one out for us. But when you know you have that inevitability,
I'm sure PJ's up at 2:35 in the morning on the East Coast. He might be actually to watch.
He might be. This is worth staying up for. But at that spot, if you're Tim and you know that, you'll take the 3 for 1 or the 4 for 1 to get the disc off the board because the cards don't actually matter that much, right? All you need to do is clear the way for your trump because you both have so many blanks that you kind of just land the cards that are relevant, and Tim will just win when that happens. Oh, man.
Turn 1 Black Vice again.
Oh, gosh. And Luis chose to be on the draw here, which makes sense. Oh, okay. Well. And we see a 1/1 Forest Walker, I believe. Something Dryad.
Something Dryad, yeah.
That's an S, I think.
Not
Chandelar. That's a different thing.
It's been a long time since, most of the cards come right back. Grizzly Bear, I've got down pat.
Luis now looking like a beatdown deck. Ooh,
There's
weakness.
Weakness.
Okay.
So that's -2, -1.
Yep.
So that's an 0/1 Grizzly Bear. Makes it very susceptible to Pestilence.
Luis still taking damage from his Black Vice, but less.
By the way, that Forest Walker has a Forest 2 walk-on. That may have been the card he brought in.
Oh, that could be true.
Yeah, we saw him going for a sideboard. I don't know if that was main deck.
And Tim just missed his 4th land drop.
And that's the problem with playing a perfectly reasonable amount of lands in this format, is you might miss a land drop a perfectly reasonable amount of the time.
How many lands is Tim playing?
17.
That just seems impossible in this format. Well, I guess what
He
Martin
really
took them all.
He really doesn't have any blanks in his deck.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a couple cards that are 23rd cards, 22nd cards, but boy, this Phantom Monster, though.
He has such good creatures. You see the Phantom Monster. He's holding 2 other different 3/3s for 4 in his hand, which doesn't sound like much if you're a modern player. 3/3 for 4 is big in this format. Hill Giant is not messing around.
There's Helm of Chatsuk, and we could see some unlikely bans.
So
some real mashups here.
Also awesome with the Wall of Brambles in play. Regenerator, put all the damage on that. We thought when we were watching the draft that Luis got that helm like 7th or 8th. We thought that was just unbelievable because banding is so amazing on defense.
Well, here's Unholy Strength on a Phantom Monster.
This could be over really soon.
And now Paralyze goes on the Ironroot Tree Folk.
Luis not to decide. Well,
he has to spend 4 mana to untap that.
Yeah, he's not going to. He needs to try to save his mana to find a way to deal with the 5/3 flyer that's going to kill him in 2 turns. And he has one.
How about Disintegrate?
All right.
Still good.
First problem is resolved.
You can't split it and kill multiple creatures. Okay. Still
almost
fine.
Better in this board. We see Tim draws the Regrowth, but Disintegrate removed it from the game. Can't regrow the flyer.
Nice.
So he did not want to split it here. He wanted to exile it. Got that.
And
now we'll probably see him untap.
Yep. So now he's going to invest the money in untapping his Tree Folk.
And Luis is going to bring the pain. Smack him for 4 here, down to 7, trying to win this race.
There's Plains, and he's got the Cop Green in hand here.
He's going to choose to leave up the regeneration mana instead, which I think is interesting. He could have just chumped with the Grizzly Bears and committed the Cop Green. I thought that was a really close spot there.
Okay, there's a Bog Wraith.
Does Tim have an Evil Presence?
I don't know if he does.
Okay.
We don't have deck lists for this, unfortunately.
And so just for the walking home, we're asking, Evil Presence is one of those throwaway cards that some people play. It turns land into a swamp.
Yeah, we saw Phantasmal Terrain in play earlier in the quarterfinals.
Again, there are a lot of cards that are better than at your extra lands. You play these really marginal value cards. Ooh, this is really nice from Luis. So Luis is sending in the weakened Grizzly Bear as part of a band. And banding, not an ability we see anymore. Pretty complicated, but basically what happened is they're blocked together. So imagine they're kind of glued together, and Luis gets to assign the damage. So now if Tim double blocks, it's just going to take out the Grizzly Bear.
Yeah, he gets to assign all the damage to wherever he wants in the band.
Really nice player from Luis.
Banding even better when you get to do it on blocking.
Banding is just unbeatable on blocking. But there's not a lot of blocking happening from this one. Luis is trying to put this game away.
He's got Tim down to 7 here.
And he's attacking for 4, one of which is unblockable.
And then one of the nice things about playing an unreasonable amount of lands is you get to just untap with Paralyze every turn.
We were talking that Paralyze is not a great card in this format because of that reason, right? It's just everyone is just going to have a bunch of mana, and so they'll get to just spend it every turn. Interesting spot here. Tim is wondering, does Luis have another X spell? Probably not. Right? If Luis had another copy of Disintegrate in his hand, he would just send in the 1/1 here, probably, right? Put Tim to 6 and then just burn him out next turn. So Luis likely does not have his second copy of Disintegrate in hand. So he's going to have to try to...
How about a Giant Growth, though? And that's going to be the game.
Wow.
Luis Scott-Vargas evens things up 1 game apiece. We're going to get a game 3 here in the finals.
Stole that one. Tim decided not to block. Tim's hand was stacked, but he did miss a land drop. Maybe once the board in a couple extra lands. They're floating around. They all have plenty. Look in their sideboards.
Luis Scott-Vargas knows these old cards really well. He plays old school, plays vintage. He's been playing the game for about as long, as you could be playing it. And he knew Helm of Chatsuk was going to be a card that he was very interested in. And Tim would have been much more interested in blocking if that wasn't a band.
Oh, 100%. He would have double blocked, just traded one of his 3/3s for that 3/5, and just ended the pressure from Luis. But that was a really, really nice play there, kind of attaching that throwaway Grizzly Bear. This is a fun match to watch. And like you said, Luis has been playing, since the early 90s, mid-90s. He's seen these cards before. He's done revised boost, drafts and sealed decks.
Oh, if there's any degenerate limited format you could do after hours, I'm sure Luis has done it.
Yeah. So, consulting the sideboards, I can't imagine there's anything playable at this point. We've already gone to him once.
I mean, Luis has already gone pretty deep. What's the white damage prevention spell?
Oh, Guardian Angel.
Guardian Angel. That won him his quarterfinals.
Yeah.
against
really
a
good in a world
lethal
of a bunch of X
fireball.
spells. Yeah, really nice in a world of X spells.
So he's already stretched pretty deep and been rewarded for it. Gets him here to the finals again. It's an alpha starter deck and $2,500 waiting for the winner of this game.
That's a big game.
It's a huge game.
How many alpha starter decks are floating around out there? There's not a lot.
No, never. And then you get to look at it. Look at it. It's right there between them. You know how we put the Pro Tour trophy in between the players? Well, the alpha starter deck is sitting there on an easel, just taunting them.
I'll be honest. I would be tempted to trade my Pro Tour trophy for that alpha starter deck.
Wow, that is both. That was great. That was an actual humble brag.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks. Wait, did Luis just take out COP Green?
Yeah, maybe doesn't feel that's the threat he has to worry about, and it's kind of semi-dead.
So you feel like he has to have some throwaway cards. So we haven't seen deck lists. Maybe Luis isn't playing a ton of lands. Like, again, you'd play that Cop Green over the 22nd land.
Sure.
Even if Tim only has 3 green creatures. I do agree, though, the way he loses these games is to the black cards, the Pestilence.
I wonder if we know anyone who knows how many lands Luis is playing in his deck.
We don't.
We don't know anybody.
No.
I do know Tim is definitely playing 17. I
Yeah.
talked to him about it, and people were pretty jealous.
Yeah. I know Martin was playing the low 20s.
Martin
23?
He was playing 23 lands in his Mardu beatdown deck with 8 or 9 1-drops.
I will say, when you're doing the draft, those are pretty lands. It's easy to get a little tempted, a little caught up in the moment, and then you get to deck building, like, oh, I don't have any spells.
Yeah, Heyman Patel I think might have been the first time he did a Rochester draft, and he was just like, I actually had no playables.
Yeah.
I'm like, you had something? He's like, no, I just didn't have anything.
Yeah, if you haven't drafted this set before, it's hard. If you haven't Rochester before, Rochester is a punishing format.
Yeah, one of my favorite draft formats.
Yeah, same. But my first PTQ top, it was a Rochester draft, and my deck was horrendous, and everyone knew it, and they made fun of me, and it felt bad.
Helm of Chatsik was the play for Luis Scott-Vargas on turn 1. Looks like a great hand here for Tim Rivera. There's a Drudge Skeletons, but I see Sengir Vampire, I see Jade Statue, and I see additional lands in hand for him. And Wanderlust on the Drudge Skeleton.
Down.
That is a steady stream of damage, a point every turn. Luis just has to weather the next
19 turns?
19 turns.
Well, right now we're doing 1 for 1. So it's even. Everyone's getting the same side of this.
Wow,
Ooh,
look at this. Here's
huge
a Dragon
draw.
Whelp.
Huge draw for Luis.
But Terror is at the ready.
Ouch. You have to imagine that's one of Luis's top 2 or 3 creatures.
I mean, it's one of the top 2 or 3 creatures you could have in this old limited format. There's the Jade Statue, and that's going to be tough to deal with. Although we did see Luis brought in had a Shatter in the last game. That might have been a sideboard card as well.
Is it in his hand?
I think it's in his hand. But right now he's happy to let the Wall of Brambles do the work. Wow, there's Sengir Vampire.
We need Disintegrate, and we need it now.
Now there's Conservator.
Banding is not going to help on this board. There's nothing to band with.
I would like to band my Conservator and my Wall of Brambles. But yeah, Tim is just content to get in there with the flyer. He then adds an Ironwood Treefolk. And I don't know how many were in the draft, but I'm sure the judges could tell us how many Scrib Sprites does Luis Scott-Vargas have to have drafted in order to block that Sengir Vampire?
Oh, it was a Dwarven Warrior, not a copy of Shatter.
Oh,
not going to help him here. And Luis basically has very few turns to draw a Divinal's Disc or potentially Disintegrate keeps him in this. Boy.
Here's Lure on a Drudge Skeletons.
Tim is doing work.
And
this is just...
Everything needs to block Drudge Skeletons.
Which will just regenerate.
Yeah, he can just regenerate it.
Tim is putting on and Tim has a burn spell in hand. He's putting on a clinic.
He's going to block. He's going to do Conservator. But let's see where that leaves Luis when the dust settles. Leaves him at 6.
Doesn't even have time for disc. Can't untap with it. I don't know if he has any outs here.
He can kill the Drudge Skeleton if he finds a removal spell.
That's
He doesn't. That's a hit.
Wow.
Tim Rivera is your beta draft champion here at Grand Prix Las Vegas with a really just beautiful deck.
His deck was incredible.
Not a ton of rares in his deck, but Pestilence ×2, Sengir Vampire, Phantom Monster, Llanowar Elves, just all the great
multiple copies of Terror,
Terror,
Regrowth. Psionic Blast. Like, he had just really, really good deck. That could actually compete against some of the decks we saw in the top 8 of the GP.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which does not happen often with the beta draft deck.
Yeah, no, that was just amazing. Congratulations to Tim Rivera here.
Yep.
And congratulations to Luis Scott-Vargas and everybody else.
Everyone in the top 8.
Just for earning a spot in these events. You played in a couple of these.
I played a lot of these this weekend. I wanted to be in this tournament. This is the flagship, tournament to play in. You don't get many chances at this, and all 8 of these, winners. There were no losers in this draft. They all had this unique, amazing opportunity that the rest of us, are dreaming of.
Yeah, and they were cut. I mean, those were some really hard fought tournaments. We saw.
Oh, absolutely.
We saw Mark Herberholtz versus Owen Turtenwald at one point.
Yep.
You know what?
Yeah, Mike Circus lost the finals of that one. These were some star-packed qualifiers.
Hey, why don't we check in with Tim Rivera, our champion, for the last interview. Tim Rivera, congratulations. You got to play 17 lands in a deck that looked almost modern compared to some of the other decks we saw in this field. How did that draft just play out for you? What was really the key to you getting this very tight black-green deck?
Well, I didn't open any good rares, so I just really just had to take playable cards, right, and try to hope to win.
It worked out. It really worked out. Do you think it was a little unfair to use modern drafting strategies in a beta draft?
I mean, I guess it's a little unfair to my opponents. None of the games were close except for kind of like the final.
Yep. No, your deck looked amazing.
What was your first pick of the draft? Do you remember?
I don't remember, to be honest. It's kind of a blur at this point now.
So that's an Alpha Starter deck, $2,500. This is obviously a huge moment for you. Sum up your whole weekend here for us in just a quick sentence.
Like this whole week I've had off and been hanging out with my friends just playing Magic, and decided to skip the Grand Prix just to play this, so it's just like the perfect ending to this week.
Awesome.
That's amazing.
Congratulations, Tim. And again, just you are local.
I am local. I've been born and raised here.
Keeping the Alpha Starter deck in Nevada. Great job.
Taking it down at Dark Side Games.
There you go. Congratulations again. Thank you so much for giving us such an entertaining finals. Iron Root Tree Folk for life here. Yeah. And we'll see you maybe at Gen Con where you could try to run this back.
I'll be at Gen Con. We'll see how it goes.
There is going to be another opportunity. There will be 8 beta qualifiers at Gen Con for another Beta Rochester Draft. If you want to do this, go to Gen Con. I'm thinking about it, and it might involve skipping a Pro Tour.
I have a team for that PT, and I may just not show up, and we'll see what happens.
It's pretty tempting.
Yeah.
Tim Rivera, congratulations. Go celebrate with your friends. Great job this weekend.
Amazing job.
Thank you.
All right, that does it here at Grand Prix Las Vegas. 35 and a half hours later.
There's no more? I got a little more in me. We can cover something.
All right, actually, we have a Pauper Cube Rotisserie Draft. And
Let's go.
We're going to pick this up in the last game of the quarterfinals. And we're going to bring you all the way through to the end. Anyway, no, I'm obviously just kidding. Thank you so much to everybody this weekend. Tom Martell, thank you so much for filling in here.
Of course.
Down the stretch. Gabby and Luis, everybody on the coverage team, Mark and Corbin, Rashad, Rich Hagon, for managing to put all of these crazy moving pieces into some sort of sequence that made sense, and for everybody who watched, everybody who played, and, Gen Con, if you want to do a beta draft, you should be there. Thanks so much. Goodbye from Grand Prix Las Vegas.